Hey guys, it's Rachel from the Littering Lamb, and today I have a book review on After You by Jojo Moyes, the sequel to Me Before You. Just a side note that if you hear loud noises, everybody is home, so trying to film this when it was a little bit quieter, but if you hear background noises, that is what that is. Anyway, this book was okay. Like, it wasn't the best sequel, but I'm going to get more into that in the review. This will be a spoiler for your review, and as well, if you're new to my book reviews or just need a refresher, I rate my books in 5 different categories: plot, characters, cover, suspense, and overall in terms of reading. Very soon, 5 out of 5. Not so soon, 1 out of 5. And it goes without saying that if you have not read Me Before You, the first book, that stuff will be spoiled because obviously this book builds off the last book. So basically this book picks up, like, I don't want to spoil it, so I'm going to try to, I'm not going to get the biggest, like, plot synopsis, but basically something happens to Louisa after Will dies. It's quite traumatic. She's still very upset because obviously she loved him and she was close to him, and she's still dealing with all the aftermath. And throughout that, I just want to look at the inside because I just don't want to say anything. She meets a guy named Sam who's her paramedic, and basically you see characters from the first book brought back again, and you see somebody from Will's life that she meets, and it all really escalates from there. I was very much anticipating this book, but I did see some negative Goodreads reviews, so it did make me worry quite a bit. But for the most part, it was like meh. Like, it was okay. Like, Me Before You, I don't think you could get any better than that. Like, if you're trying to do a sequel, it's really hard to beat. Like, that was a phenomenal book. So plot, I gave it a 3. Oh, if I'm looking down, I'm also looking at my notebook, which I have on my lap, which I'm keeping score on. Basically, the plot, I gave a 3.5 out of 5. Now, the plot was a what was I going to say? The plot was 2.5 the first quarter of the book. Then halfway through the book, I was like, okay, 3. And then the last part of the book is like 3.5. So it does quite progress, but the first part of the book is so slow because it's very upsetting. Like, it's distressing to read about her in a mourning state because Louise is such an upright character, and it's a little bit depressing because you also miss Will and all that. And yeah, but then the middle, it starts to pick up. They start to get, like, you know, backstory. You see new things introduced. There's kind of a mystery element. It's not like mystery like in the genre sense, but there is some, like, mysteries about certain characters and their past and stuff like that. And the ending was just, it just, like, went to the ending, and I was like, oh, that's really good. I keep forgetting what happened, like, right at the end. Yeah, okay, now I remember. Just had to flash back. I was like, I remember this event, it did happen, but I didn't remember what happened. And there's, like, I thought there was going to be a parallel to the first book, like the ending of it, and I was like, no, don't go there. If you've read it, you know what I'm talking about probably. So yeah, so characters, I give a 5 out of 5. I absolutely love the characters. This is no exception in this book. There's one character that, I don't want to reveal the character because the character comes into Louisa's life, but that character that does appear was not my favorite at first at all. Didn't really like that character, but by the end, that character, the middle of the book, that character really kind of, you saw some more vulnerabilities and kind of realized why that character acted the way they did. Obviously, I love the character Louisa. You got to see Nathan, I'm pretty sure that's his name, in this book. Louisa's family, her sister Trina and Thomas and all them, the grandfather. You get to see the trainers, including the sister, the mother and the father, and a lot of and then you get introduced to a lot of new characters because Louisa in this book is going to a group support group kind of for living with your grief and stuff like that, like a grief group. I really like the characters of Sam and Jake that came along, and I just really liked all the characters. Like, the characters are one thing that kept me reading because if Louisa wasn't such an amazing character, I would have been very much tempted to, like, put this book down. Cover, I give a 4 out of 5. I gave a 4 out of 5 to the first cover. Like, this is, again, I don't know why it's not white, red, black. Like, the beige is throwing me off. But it's not horrible. I'll just give it a 4 out of 5 because I do like how it's kind of like opposite, because the beige lettering on the first book, like, they're kind of opposite one another, which I do enjoy. And then the hardcover is just like a basic hardcover design, and yeah, that's why I just give it a 4 out of 5 because they're not, like, so exciting covers, but I really like how, like, the letters, like, they're red letters. Like, on the first book, it was beige lettering and then a red background, white, and this is, like, kind of opposite, so I like that. Suspense, I give it 3 out of 5. Now, the suspense, like, this book took me quite a while to read, and for Me Before You, which took me not very long to read, it might have taken me a week because I might have just been doing stuff, but I want to keep reading it. This book, I could put it down and be like, okay, whatevs. Like, and then some parts I was like, oh, I want to keep reading, but it was really hard for me to read this book because, like, it just didn't feel the same. And I think that was my biggest thing. So if you're like read Me Before You and you have really high hopes for this, lower your hopes a little bit, because it's good. Like, I like hearing about where the characters are going, but at the same time, without that integral Will and why am I forgetting her name? Louisa, without their like integral, like kind of like back and forth banter and stuff like that, and just them together, it just seems flatter. And then overall, I give the book a 3 out of 5. It's just an okay sequel. It's nothing amazing, but if you read the first book, I definitely give this a read. Just don't expect it to be like better than Me Before You, maybe. I'm not trying to hate on this book, but I think it'd be a really hard challenge to make something that's better than that, because that was like perfection. But if you've read the book, like, I definitely give it a read, especially if you're invested in the characters. If you didn't like the characters in the first book, you weren't a fan of them, probably not the book for you plot-wise. But if you really like the characters and want to see where they're going, it's a definitely good one to pick up. And yeah, that's basically my review on it. Like, next time I do read the first book, I'm going to read the second book right after it. Maybe it might make a difference in my opinion. But it was just an okay book. Like, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't like phenomenal on the range. And yes, if you've read this book, let's discuss in the comments. And as always, I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.